disembodied entities, spirits without physical form, or even entities which have physical form but are not directly able to be communicated with, through the physical means of sound. Or these spirits, often personified, include that of the heart, very symbolic, but that which beats without your control or awareness. And I mean, you can flicker in and out of awareness as to your heartbeat, but certainly not all times a day are you paying attention to the beat of your heart. And so you can think of this thing that controls the beat of your heart as a spirit, as something which is separate from your immediate consciousness. And we know that consciousness finds itself within our body, our corporeal prison. It's not really a prison. It's quite a great gift. But with having a body comes all of these strange, subconscious interactions with these spirits, the spirit of the heart, the spirit of the breath, to take something even a little bit more hard to put your finger on, because what part of the body is the breath? Well, of course it's the lungs, but there's so much that goes into it. The mouth, the throat, the esophagus, it's all part of the breath. And so often the breath can just flow without you even thinking about it. And of course, we know that there are tons of studies and, firsthand results, like taking conscious control of your breath is possible, even more so than that of your heart rate. You can get real specific. And doing things like breath work will change your bodily chemistry depending on the type of breath work that you're doing. It will change your state of being, whether it be like supercharged, hyped up, hyperventilating, or whether it be calm, controlled, slow breathing. And it's in this way that the conscious mind, the self, that which we consider the self, it has different ways to interact. You can even think the spirit of the body, the spirit of walking. And these are things that we have access to, and when we participate in the activity, we are calling that function. As if we have a program, or as if we have a library of programs that we can access, depending on what we've learned in our life and our instincts. We can access these programs and run them as if they're automatic. And walking is one of those things where, again, you can tune out and go into a flow state. As far as the self goes, like, it can become an automatic process. And there is something to be said about wander, and wonder being primarily a walking philosophy channel. That is to say that, philo, love, Sophia, wisdom. And so we're walking, and we're loving wisdom. We're loving just things that make themselves apparent, that register with the mind as, correct or long-standing truths. We like to just dig around and find these things because they are, I guess, the concept of truth, the shape of truth is known within. When something doesn't make sense, we can hear some sort of thing inside going, I don't know. And I mean, if you take people at their word for everything that they say, that can present a bunch of different issues. But that's why it is important to be discerning and pay attention to that, the truth vibrations feeling. Many civilizations, religions rather, if you could call them that. And I say that because religion permeates a culture so much as to be like indistinguishable from the culture itself. Like, how could you have certain cultures without certain religion? And that's why certain lifestyles are seen as like religious. But just to stay on track here, a lot of older religions personified different forces of nature. And this is how they would think about them, is as spirits of nature. There is this thing, it cannot be immediately interacted with, or it cannot interact back with to us the way that we are used to communicating between ourselves, but you can see it's like you can have an interaction with this form of life. So it's not disembodied, but it is it's just a different form of consciousness or life, and it's a different relationship that you can have. So with something like a plant, as you take care of it, as you're careful not to overwater and giving it fertilizer and all the light, sun, or whatever that it needs, you can see this thing responding positively. And whether or not it's aware that it's you, an individual doing it, the fact that you're seeing something thrive as an individual is reward enough. We don't have to say that the plant knows who you are and will only, feel really good if it's watered by its real owner. But that's an aspect of plant personality that I don't think has been thoroughly investigated. So you could try it, but this would go as far to say as like the light itself personified. This is something that would go to sleep earlier and earlier and earlier until December 21st, and then eventually the days would begin to get longer, and this personification would have a change in lifestyle, and the shadow, the shadow is cast by the light, and it's something that follows an individual, takes the shape of them. All of these things, just considering how they could all be personified, feeling that sort of system of ancient religion from within, and not attributing everything to ancient myth to say like, oh, like this document is true, or like this version of history is the real one. Like understanding like your like a standard for truth if you want to live in the real world, like in reality itself, to feel like the highest form of truth. You cannot root it in anything beyond direct knowledge and experience. There is such a thing as trust, faith. You can say there's a difference between true faith and blind faith. But this is faith in something, which permeates us all, a unifying force. This thing we call life, and this cycle that we all are a part of, simply by living, breathing, consuming, dying, acting upon this world as forms of life, and it's interesting to think it's like we are more than just our bodies. We have these faculties that are readily available to us to think and to access, ways of acting which are unconventional or different than that of the norm or the status quo. And by use of these faculties, like, we are able to generate high levels of novelty, which in terms of experience and memory, and if there ever were a currency to life, it would be novelty. It's like, you don't want to become one of the people who only reflect on old times that were good. Like, you want to be consistently living your best life, creating new memories, experiencing new forms of novelty. It's a steep drop here. Shit. Brutal. Now, there is a sort of a little bit of a retro trend called chaos magic, which pretty much allows one to interact with the essence of anything, anything which you could consider an idea, whether it be like a cartoon character that you want to invoke, you want to invoke fucking Spider-Man. It's like, well, Spider-Man belongs to the same family of archetypes as a lot of different personifications, or different polytheistic gods. So really, it's like, if the function of the polytheistic god is simply to embody an archetype, then you could use any embodiment of any archetype for an invocation. One sec here. And it's weird and lame as occultism can be sometimes. I think to strip away all of the pageantry and to boil the thing down to its minimal essence, it's a way, this is one aspect of it, but it's the way that you can view the world through a non-material mindset. And this is why we say occult things that are hidden, and the realm of consciousness, the imagination, things which occur within or even between on a non-physical level, for sure exist. The existence of supernatural reality is undebatably real, and if someone doesn't believe this, that simply means that their definition of reality is different, and that relying on their own individual experience, their own direct experience of what life has to offer. Relying on their own direct experience is all that they can do. So really, there is no reason to question why other people believe what they believe. But in my opinion, the existence of a supernatural reality is real. It's true. And because of the way that this reality operates, subtle means are required to interact with it, and even just to grasp it, to understand it. At this point, I do somewhat believe in manifesting like positive things, like the power of positive thinking, or even its inverse. Just when you think negative things and bad things happen, or when you have a poor outlook on life, things tend to get worse. But without going into like various forms of esoteric literature, which may or may not have laid out like systems that, are comprehending the subtle aspects of reality, they may or may not have laid them out. But like, this is the thing, is like coming to understand the system without the direct experience involved in originally creating that system can only go so far as to inform maybe the names of certain archetypal energies, elemental energies, and to only study the names, without understanding the personalities, the characteristics. Like, that's the real issue with the study of esoteric literature. And so to practice something like chaos magic is to see archetypal energy in like everyday stimuli, whether it be like the power of this stick, or like, oh, how cool is Peter Parker. We're just doing Spider-Man references only today, but yeah, it's like you just start to like just see archetypal energy, and like that's the thing, is like there are so many archetypes and so many blends of different archetypes, and there are different people who have quantified, the list of archetypes, whether it be like, you even think of like the tarot, especially the major arcana, as like things that are trying to describe the like complete list of archetypal energies, so you draw a card, the tower, and everyone's jumping out. It's like, this is representative of not just a tower, but anything that feels like the world is coming down, or that you need to like literally jump out of a burning building for your life. Like anything which could be thought of as a metaphor for that is represented by that picture, like of the tower. I'm just going to capture maybe a couple videos of these ducks over here. They look pretty nice. And it's feelings like being close to the shore and in the presence of wildlife, which inspire just positive energy, things that are undeniable and experienced directly. I always do wonder why, like, these people are doing Tai Chi around bodies of water, where there are dams and rivers and waves that are flowing. Like there is energy in the air. There is a lot beyond what we can see. Well, thanks for listening. I'm just going to enjoy the scenery and keep doing my thing. This has been Wander and Wonder, signing off. Peace.